Hello, welcome to The Global Shift. This is chapter 16 of The Global Shift, Astral Visions and Lucid Dreaming. This is a subject that I purposely waited to get to because hopefully you have been doing the celestial stream pressure technique and working on your meditative exercises. Because astral projection is not something that's new, and it's not something that came out in the 50s or 60s and 70s like a lot of people think. Astral travel, astral visions, have been around since Egypt. The same way I always talk about the celestial pressure technique, come from Egypt, went into Israel. The same thing with astral travel. The Egyptians used to refer to it as Ka, K-H-A. And this was exactly the same thing we refer to as astral projection today, which really breaks down to an out-of-body experience, an O.B.E. Astral projection is supposedly, and I'm going to hold on to that word, supposedly, removing your soul, your celestial energy from your vessel and traveling outward. Now, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it gained a lot of momentum in the United States because there was a gentleman named Robert Monroe, who is a broadcasting executive in New York, and he claimed to have very profound astral experiences, and he went and created the Monroe Institute and wrote books and really opened up astral projection to the modern world, and it really bloomed from there. Now, I do personally have some issues with astral projection and the concept of it. I personally have not been able to detach my celestial energy, my soul, from my body and travel around. I have not had an out-of-body experience where I have been able to turn around and see my body laying in a bed and know that this was something other than a state of lucidity or experiencing something in the celestial stream, and we'll get to that. So some of my issues with this first, if we had the ability, and if somebody had the ability to detach their soul from their body, to disconnect their energy from the vessel, then that means you are leaving your body open to other energies taking it, opening to the possibility of not being able to reconnect with your body. So this just feels to me, absolutely feels to me like something that is not possible. It doesn't seem like something God would have permitted in creation, or our higher selves would allow for those very reasons. Other issues I have with astral projection. Now, as we mentioned, this is the physical experience. Even though it's created and everything, this is where my soul, my celestial energy, gets to embody a physical vehicle and physically experience things. So when I detach from this, if I detach from this and become a soul, astral traveling, I shouldn't, in my opinion, be able to touch and feel things. I am no longer a part of the physical reality, although I am in it, right? Now, here's my issue. Robert Monroe, when he first had these experiences, described something along the lines, and I'll give a very short version. He was laying in his bed, and as he was laying there, he felt his hand kind of fall and hit the carpet. And he was just sitting there touching the carpet, realizing that the hand that was touching the carpet was through the mattress, through the box spring, and he was feeling the fibers of the carpet. And he goes on to describe that he reached down even further, and he felt the floorboards, and he felt the nails in the floor and stuff like this. And from there, he went out of his body, and he experienced, and he flew around and had these literally Peter Pan experiences, and went on to create the Monroe Institute, changed thousands of lives, and some very well-known people participated in this. Some very well-known scientists and doctors gave up their careers in their own field to go and work there and dive into this with him. So there had to be something to it. But for me, the aspect of feeling things in the physical world lends more of a dream state to me. And here's a couple of other things that really kind of disprove astral projection and out-of-body experiences before we continue. Some of the people who even worked from the Monroe Institute would attempt to astral project together and afterwards see if they had the same experiences. And even though they were able to see each other because they were thinking about that as they were laying there, getting into that state, listening to their delta waves and stuff, they were not able to communicate with each other the same way. They didn't have the same experiences, so it didn't work. And to this date, there has never been a case where two people have been able to out-of-body experience, astral project, and see the same things. Nobody has been able to write something on a piece of paper and put it in another room and have somebody astral project and go into the other room and see it and read it. Recently, there was on Facebook an experiment where the world's top astral projectionists, right, I guess, all got together, not got together, but they all on their own, without talking to each other, went and did these astral projections, and then they wrote their stories, and then their stories were all compared. And some of them did have similar sentences and things like that, which to me, again, it doesn't prove astral projection, but it does prove that we might be able to link up to each other through the celestial stream, which I have done with birds and butterflies and bees and people. I have seen through that perspective and that view and that vessel. So anyway, I don't believe astral projection is really something that we really perceive it to be. Now, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, are an absolutely different thing to me. They're not astral projection, and they shouldn't even be put in the same category. If you have an out-of-body experience because you're on an operating table and you flatline and you die, and you start to see the tunnel and the light, then that to me is the celestial stream. That is your body disconnecting from the physical body and going into the ethereal realm, heaven, the universe, home, all right, let's say home, and somehow you're brought back medically or whatever it is. It's not your time, there's more to do, and you come back. Now, maybe, there is truth to astral projection. I have tried it on a few occasions, and I honestly got nervous and afraid once, I'll be quite honest with you. One time when I was doing it, I was listening to the delta waves, which I'm going to provide a link to below. Download them, put on your headphones, I'll explain it at the end. I was laying in, I was breathing, and I was really getting myself into that lucid dream stating, which is, you're still partially conscious and you're tapping into the subconscious mind and you're dangling right there in the middle where you can create and manipulate your dreams. And we're going to do experiments with those at the end for you to try. And I think that's more along the lines of what astral projection is, a form of a deeper state of lucidity. How I've been explaining, the celestial stream pressure technique over time will help you connect your conscious mind into your subconscious mind and merge that consciousness into the one true self that you are. And I believe that that's what happens. I believe that astral projection is getting yourself to a deeper state of lucidity to where you're still aware and obtaining that consciousness to an extent, but you are really deep in the subconscious mind, connecting with the pineal and into the celestial stream, and that's what you're kind of experiencing. And the fact that you can manipulate it a little bit lends way into that lucid aspect of it. So it's kind of like having a lucid dream in the celestial stream. I like that. It's like having a lucid dream in the celestial stream. Really a great way for you who have been following along with the course to kind of understand what I'm saying. So anyway, my experience, I was laying down, not like meditating. I was laying down on this right here, as a matter of fact, and I was breathing the beta waves, and I was breathing in, and I was breathing out, and I was breathing in, and after a while, it wasn't anything visual. It wasn't anything visual. I was really focusing on my breath. As I would breathe in, I would feel my chest, expand, and I would feel my breath expand to the capacity of my chest, okay, my full lung capacity. What started to happen was, as I would breathe in, I felt my breath expanding beyond my rib cage, beyond my physical body. This is truth. I really felt, and I was absolutely awake, conscious, my eyes were closed, and I kept doing this, and as I kept doing this, I felt it expanding further and further and further, and it got to a point where I just felt like I can keep breathing in without ever breathing out, and I kind of bugged out. I woke up out of it. I not woke up. I opened my eyes and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Something's really trippy here. Now again, I wasn't seeing anything, and this was in the earlier stages when I was developing and coming up with the celestial stream technique, the celestial stream pressure technique. So, my experiences with this have not been, what everybody perceives astral projection to believe. I do personally believe, just from the science and the lack of proof, that astral projection is a deeper form of lucid dreaming connecting to the true celestial stream. So there is both aspects. It's like a lucid dream on that celestial stream, but the celestial stream is you connecting to your higher self. It's that energy line, that frequency that we tune into that connects our bodies to our true selves. So, you got to take that for how you want to interpret that for yourself. But to me, it's not a true out-of-body experience. Flat out. Let's just end that little portion of this conversation with that. It's not a true out-of-body experience. Now, before somebody types in below and says, but wait a minute, there have been people who have been able to remote view objects written on paper in other rooms, like Uri Geller. I won't even engage a conversation about Uri Geller, the spoon-bending guy and stuff, because he's been proven a fraud. Yes, the CIA brought him in and they had somebody draw pictures or write something on the other side and or write a word, and he kind of sketched out something, and it was pretty close, and there was some accuracy. Now, we'll get there. But his spoon bending stuff and all that, no, he was a fraud, a con man. Even Johnny Carson just blew him out of the water. But anyway, that is still not astral projection. That's called remote viewing. Now somehow, some people have been able to remote view, see events and actions taking place in another place. They have been able to see something happening someplace else while they have been in one place, like sleeping or laying down, okay? So, I'm just checking our time. So as I said, remote viewing, they have been able to witness or experience something that has been happening someplace else, a conversation or notation being written down while they've been in a meditative state, connecting what I believe to be the celestial stream. Now, this to me is not astral projection, as I just said. It's not astral projection. What it actually is to me is you are connecting to the celestial stream of another individual and viewing through their eyes. Just as I have been able to access the flight of a bird that has flown by, a butterfly or a person, a family member, an event that has happened to me, I have been able to link up and see from their perspective, their eyes, that event. I believe that's what they do. I believe these are individuals who can somehow connect to the celestial stream. They find a frequency of a person at these coordinates or wherever it is they're supposed to view, and they do. Now, I have actually had a slight type of experience with this. I was in the house one day meditating in a very deep meditative state, way into the celestial stream pressure technique, where I was already off my eyes, but I was way deep into it. My mother, who of course there's a very interesting relationship with, was here visiting at that time, and I may have mentioned this before. Her and my wife were in the living room, long story short, and I saw them sitting there having the conversation in the living room, but I wasn't seeing the house in color. I wasn't seeing them in color. Picture a black room, just a black void, the void. Picture the void. You know what it looks like at this point. Just the void, and everything, them, the wall, the table, the fireplace, the view from where I was looking from, the edge of the wall, the doorway, all of it was drawn three-dimensionally in like a gold amber color, like the old monochrome monitors on a computer. It was all like a golden, yellowish, orangish, amber outline. You know, everything was drawn in that. And I just sat there and I was like, wow, what am I looking at? And I was like, that's them. And as I was in the room meditating, I realized I was facing that angle, you know, I was positioned that way, and I was kind of just, you know, really seeing through the walls and all this stuff. I was kind of seeing not even the photons that make up everything, but almost like the energy that holds everything together, you know, and that to me is remote viewing. So that's been my personal experiences. So in this long conversation that we've had right now, I truly believe at this point, because I'm not done personally experimenting with this, and you bet that as soon as I experience or witness something differently, as soon as I experience something else different, you will be the first to know. I promise you that. But as of now, in my 49 years of being alive and in my decades of just diving into these types of situations and metaphysical type of practices, I truly believe that astral projection is just a deeper version of lucid dreaming. You're obtaining your awareness, your conscious mind to operate in the physical world. It is connecting to the celestial stream deeper. Now, that's not what lucid dreaming is, right? Lucid dreaming is just your conscious mind, you're falling asleep, going into that rapid eye movement, the REM state, going in before your delta states of sleep, right? You're getting into deep states, but you're still conscious and you can start to fly and manipulate things. But once you pass that point and you fall asleep and you get into that deeper state, really into the delta states of sleep, you know, that's when we're connecting to our subconscious mind and we're downloading and sending and receiving the information back and forth to the source. We're coordinating and trying to understand what's going on, and that's why your nighttime intent before you go to bed is very important. We're going to talk about that next week. But anyway, you know, when you're at that state, I believe that that's what astral projection is obtaining some consciousness and bringing it all the way into that state where you are consciously remembering connecting to the celestial stream and seeing the universe and feeling like you are out. And as far as looking back on your body, it's a very easy thing to do, and I'm going to show you how to do it in just a few minutes. So, you know, really, if anybody is absolutely sold on astral projection, and it is something that you do and you have techniques that are surefire ways for me to experience it, then please reach out to me. I'm not trying to say you're lying. I'm just trying to say that there is a general misconception of what astral projection is, and I believe that my little simple term of bringing your conscious mind really deep into that celestial stream, maintaining that awareness, is really what it is. It's beyond lucid dreaming, but you're still obtaining that awareness. So, you know, don't be upset or annoyed or mad at me, because this is just my experience thus far. And like I said, if you have something that can make me see something differently or experience something differently, I'm right here. Now, experiments, very simple things that you can do to start to experience these things. And we're going to start off with baby steps here. Really, I'm not going to give you anything so profound that, oh my goodness gracious, you are going to be flying through Mars tomorrow. Now, maybe you will. But the first thing I want to talk about is lucid dreaming. You have all been falling asleep, and as you've been falling asleep, you started to have a dream, and as you were in that dream state, you realized that you weren't fully asleep and something happened and you woke up, right? Or you're laying in bed and you're dreaming that you're breaking out of prison because you just hear this blaring, bah, 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 and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? Wait a minute, no, that's my alarm clock. That little state right there, that's lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is just getting into and even deeper into the dream state, period, the dream state, but bringing your conscious awareness, the thing that usually shuts off and goes to sleep when we go to sleep, in with you and remaining that consciousness. And you'll hear people talk about they can fly and they can do all sorts of amazing, cool things. Now, let's start off simple. Let's start off simple. When you lay down to go to sleep at night, as I mentioned earlier, we'll talk about next week in Meditation Revolution, when you lay down and go to sleep, you want to set your intent. You want to put it out there, what it is that you'd like to change in your life, what it is you want to obtain as far as information and insight, and you want to go to sleep with that clear mind, because like I said, that's when those things happen. But now what I want you to do, when you get past that state and you're clear and you've had your time, you've meditated, you're not going to sit there and think about your bills and your kids and life sucks and all these other things going on, and you're going to think about nothing. I want you to sit there and just start to picture looking down at your feet. Just laying in your bed, looking down at your feet. Standing there. You could be standing on a beach, on sand. You could be in the grass. You could be standing in a room in your house. Just stand there and look at your feet and stare at your feet. And as you're doing this, and as you're staring there after 20 seconds and 30 seconds and 1 minute and 2 minutes looking at your feet, just start to imagine your eyes are closed. This is in your mind as you're laying in bed. You're imagining this. You're not standing there looking at your feet, right? Just start to imagine your body, your feet are off the floor now. It's just risen up. Your body has risen up a little bit. So you're sitting there laying down. You're looking at grass. Now you just see your feet. You just are looking down. You see your feet. They're just a little bit above the ground. Just dangling, just there. You can feel the grass underneath your feet, tickling your feet there, or the sand, you're just above it. You can see your shadow below. I want you to just do this. 1 night, 2 nights. Keep doing this. Keep doing this. If you even want to picture yourself from another perspective, you can picture your whole self standing there, floating above the grass. Sometimes it's easier for people to focus on what would be their own perspective, and sometimes it's easier for people to focus on the perspective of another. Now, if that's what you're going to do, what I do is I started a long time ago with the feet, and I mean when I was a teenager with the feet, and I quickly moved up to seeing myself from another's perspective. I would sit there and I would look at myself and I would see myself just floating above the ground, floating above the ground. Now I'm not myself. I'm not thinking of myself. I'm standing there just an observer, and I'm looking at Jay, and there he is. He's just standing there floating above the ground. He's floating above. Oh wow, look, he's even higher. He's higher. As you do this over a few days or a few minutes, even the first time, start to then picture trees behind yourself floating up in the air. Okay? Or you're higher, getting higher off the ground, and now all of a sudden more things are in view. There are rocks around you. There's bushes. The higher you get, more come into your view. And take this very slow stages. Now, as you do this, whether it's you're just looking down at the ground around you, you can picture your hands, you can start to see your legs, you can start to picture your body, you can picture your whole body from the beginning. You don't just have to look at your feet. As you're looking at your feet, you can focus and see your whole body, and then floating up, you can bring your hands into it. Just start to do this, but you need to really focus and be very specific and start seeing the scenery around you. That's why a lot of times it's easy to start these things in a room in your house, in your backyard, a surrounding, an environment you are very visually familiar with. So, back to what I was saying. You're laying in bed, you're picturing yourself floating up from your own perspective or the perspective of another. As you're doing this and as you're going on and breathing and just really focusing on this and just watching it and really thinking about it and trying to let your emotions and your bodily feelings start to really perceive and feel as if this is what the case is, you will start to merge into that dream. Now you want to take this though back to the perspective. That's the golden thing, man. That's the golden thing. For me, what I do currently, I'm at a point where I'll just lay in my bed and right here, right, I'll give it to you right now. I'm not going to be able to fall into that sleep state, but I will create the imagination, the imagery for you right now, and then we can move on to time travel. So I'm sitting here right now. I see myself. I know what the cottage, my surroundings around me look like, so I don't even need to open my eyes to see myself. So right from here, I can imagine if I'm moving up out of the chair, I can see the perspective of the room from the ceiling view. I can then start to really imagine what my eyes would see, getting dark, passing through the wood of the roof, seeing the space between my wood panels and the gap above, and looking around and seeing the air vents and the space in the attic. Oh, cobwebs, imagining what I want. Going through the roof above and the tiles, and now I see my backyard, the house. I can see these things. I'm above, I'm going up through the trees, there's branches, I'm pushing through branches, I'm going through, the trees in my yard are immensely high, 90 feet, 100 feet, 110 feet, some of them. I'm above the trees now, and I can just see all out over East Hampton and Glastonbury, Connecticut, and I can see. So that's what I do. And as you're doing this, you start to remain, I'm flying, I'm in the air, you start to take off lucid dreaming, okay? Now, that's one exercise. One exercise. You're going to have to know when to move on to the other exercises, but I want to give you a few things to start experimenting with, so you can start really merging, helping to merge that conscious and subconscious mind, connecting to the celestial stream with your conscious mind. So lucid dreaming, moving on, time travel, celestially and physically. Celestially and physically. Now, right off the bat, time travel, as a concept of sci-fi and science and things like that, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, let's talk two different aspects of time travel, celestial and physical. Celestial time travel, tongue twister, celestial time travel, there we go. For me, again, the state of lucidity, but you are creating a different time, and just enjoy that dream. Imagine what it was like to be in the Wild West. Really try and focus on the Wild West, or Greece, or Rome, or geographical locations, or other worlds. Just really start to create these things, but time travel specifically. Think of your lifetime. I was born in 1968. A whole lot of events have happened in my life. So if I lay down, I can, really get myself to a state of lucid dreaming and perceive and feel like I'm experiencing these events and these things over. And I've gone back into Roman times and ancient Egypt, and I can talk to you all day about the things that I experience lucid-wise, or astral-wise, or celestially, or spiritually, or etherically, whatever it is, whatever word floats your boat. So I want you to do that, though. As you've gone past your basic lucid dreaming, I'm flying around my yard, yay, kind of stuff, right? I want you to start time traveling. You've watched enough movies, you've watched enough documentaries, you've experienced enough life that you've seen other times other than the own one that you live in. So start to imagine those, what it's like to walk down through a Western street and seeing the village and seeing these towns and not bathing, and really start to incorporate these things. Really, they're going to help you, because as you do this, you're really developing the strength and strengthening the connection between your conscious mind and your celestial stream, the subconscious mind, which that is the true higher self. I hate to break it to you, but the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, that linkage going into the celestial stream and going all the way home, that is who we really are. We only get a very small capacity of our consciousness here in this conscious reality. We're not granted our full capacity of who we are, because we never want to be here if we were fully who we are. Well, maybe not, because I'm hoping to get to be fully who I am, and I think I'm on the right path, and I do want to be here because I want to connect with people like you. So I take that back, okay? We cannot, this is what I should have said, we cannot have access to all of our celestial abilities here in the physical world, Okay? So anyway, moving on. Your time travel aspect, lucid dreaming, create those things. Really create them. Try and do that. It's going to really help develop your mental capacity, right? And this is a little different than lucid dreaming, because lucid dreaming, again, is your current state. You're taking your current state, whatever you're currently doing, and imagining yourself doing something else. And yes, you can create, I'm in the kitchen cooking and this, but it really is within your current reality, lucid dreaming. And time traveling is, as I said, going out within another time. Now, the physical time travel is something I've spoke about in past episodes. This is connecting with a younger version of yourself. Just as your higher self connects with you today, yesterday, tomorrow it will, and it tries to guide you and hopes to guide you, you do, knowingly or inadvertently, connect with your younger self. As I've mentioned, there have been times in my past where I have remembered specific incidences where I just felt this overwhelming comfort. I received a knowing of my wife, of the life I would have, what I wanted to do and things like that. And it wasn't until these recent years that I found out it was my current thoughts, thinking back in a meditative state about that young boy who needed help and protection and guidance, and being there for him. Taking your current consciousness and sending it back in time to your younger self as your future self, physically in this reality and celestially, do guide and connect with you now. This is very difficult to do. The way you do this, again, meditative state, sitting up, meditating, laying down, doesn't matter, the most comfortable position you can be in. You want to sense and gauge your current feelings and emotions. How do I feel right now? What am I thinking about? What am I aware of? And you want to see and feel if there was a moment in your childhood or younger self at some point, teens, younger years. I like to go back to the childhood. So let's say childhood. If there was this point in your childhood where maybe you had that similar type of feeling or emotion that you're having right now. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to picture yourself. Any specific event or moment you can recall from your childhood where something was wrong, where you needed some help and there was nobody around, but you did get comfort, or you got through it somehow. You got through it and you still don't know, maybe it was God's will, but you got through it. I want you to think back to that time, and I want you to try to time travel, consciously time travel into that time. I want you to see from your younger self's perspective, the view, the feelings, and think, try to recall what was it you were thinking about at that time of your life. And were your thoughts then, did your thoughts then coincide with your thoughts now? Now, this is why this is very difficult to do, because for me it only happens spontaneously and randomly. But being aware that it can happen, and it does happen, and as you start thinking of your younger self after you hear me say this, it's probably going to happen to you, and you're going to go, wow, I wonder if right now the fact that I know I was going to get through that and be here with my family or have this job is how I got through that as a child. And you'll start to think back at that time as a child, and you'll think about, what was it that I was thinking about then? And yeah, back then when I was a child, I knew I was going to have this or do this or be this. And you'll realize that that is then and now connecting as one, because there is no such thing as time to a higher self, to God, to the universe and the source. There's no such thing as time where we come from. We can step out of this physical reality and look at our physical reality like a basketball, a geometric shape, or open it up like a file cabinet, whatever, however you want to picture it. We can just pick any moment we want. Every single nanosecond of every single second there ever was is all right out there for our higher self. So the aspect that you can take your consciousness and use that ruler, that lineage, right, and just pinpoint times and plug it in like the old switchboard operators. Okay, J, 2017. Hold on, please. Let me connect you to J, 1974. And there I am communicating and connecting with my younger self. Just as my younger self, I need help and guidance, would connect with my higher self now. It's an amazing thing to be able to do. And whether you can or have success with this, I don't know. When I finish the book, so much of this will really be in there in such great detailed, channeled words, not mine, words from the source, from God, and my higher self. However, people like, you are the universe, you are God, we are this, we are this. Look, I communicate and connect with my higher self, and I connect with and communicate and receive from something that is beyond everything. I'll leave it like that. God. So really try and connect with your younger self, that physical aspect of time travel. You have the celestial, creating it, imagining it, right? Now, and that physical. Now, I want to talk about astral. So once you've been doing these things and you're experimenting with current lucidity within your own reality, and you're experimenting with lucidity, with creating events from times that you didn't exist, the Wild West, whatever it is, or other locations, and imagining Egypt and things like that, that type of time travel and lucid dreaming, I want you to also use that connected strength that you now have of your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and I want you to start to find and pinpoint different moments in your own timeline and realize how you now have been guiding. You've been the one guiding your younger self, just as your higher and older self in this reality and beyond is trying to or is successfully communicating with you now. So I want you to start to be aware of that and start to listen to that and figure that out and play with that for now. And then astral, out-of-body experiences. Let's just cut the bullshit and get into some nitty-gritty. If you're doing these things that I'm asking you to do successfully in the lucid dreaming experiments, then what you can do, and if you've collected at this point, if you've gone through season 1 and you're practicing your celestial stream technique, then you are seeing things that nobody else around you knows about and has seen, and you're probably even afraid to still talk about it to other people. Don't be. I receive emails. Comment below. Let's hear what you're seeing, because I'm receiving the emails, but I won't talk about people's experiences publicly. That's between them and me and them and them. Okay? So if you're doing this, your lucid dream, take your lucid dreaming into that deeper state and start envisioning the universe. See yourself in space, or just see space. See galaxies. Look at the earth from above, right? Things like this. But here's a very simple experiment. Now, again, I'm just giving you very simple things. In that lucid state, look at the earth from above, look at space, look at galaxies. Go travel over the moon, see the craters, go between them. Mars, whatever you want to do, go beyond that, go outside of the celestial web and see the neural network of the massive amount of energy that is connected to the celestial web. But here's one for you to practice the true, quote unquote, out-of-body experience, astral projection. It's a great experiment, it's a lot of fun, and for me it's very trippy. I lay in my bed, and I like to do it in the house because in my living room we have a higher ceiling. It's a kind of a cathedral ceiling. So I'll lay on the couch, and as I'm laying there, I will start to picture myself floating above me on the ceiling. So I'm laying there, I know what I'm wearing, I picture an exact version of myself, or you can picture you however you want. You don't have to be wearing the same clothes. I shouldn't say that. Picture yourself. Very specifically though, make sure you can see what you're wearing, jewelry, anything, any little specific detail. Make sure you incorporate those, because they do help to build and create this. So I lay there and I see myself I picture myself looking down at me from the ceiling above. And I just sit there for a while until I really can paint this strong, and I'm on the couch and I'm not moving, right? I don't move at all. But while I'm laying there on the couch and I'm looking at myself floating above, just below the ceiling, I imagine what it would feel like if I just took my arm and just started touching the couch and feeling the fabric on the back of the couch on the side of me as I'm looking at myself floating above me. So I'll do that. I'll just pretend like I can feel the couch, but I'm not moving. My hands are still in a comfortable position. And I'll just imagine that. I can feel that. I can imagine like picking my hand up and touching the wall above the couch, and it's cool, and I can feel the texture of the eggshell paint and the little bumps in the wall, right? The texture of the wall. I really try and focus, but I'm still looking at myself floating above. Then, what do? Yes, I reverse the view. Now, I picture and envision myself from above looking down, and I am wearing exactly what I'm wearing, what I'm really wearing. I'm floating now. My back is right below the ceiling. I'm looking down. I see myself on the couch. I can see my feet, the whole couch. I can see my whole self. I see me lifting my arm and touching the couch, and I can see it clearly. And even as I'm here, I can take my arm and I can reach up and feel the ceiling, the texture of the stucco in the ceiling. And I do this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I keep going back down and looking above, and I switch and switch and switch. And I eventually will stop on the one, maybe after about 5 or 6 times of switching around, maybe 8 times, whatever it takes to really bring that into that deep, lucid state with me, this little cycle game I'm doing. And I stop and hold myself on that ceiling position looking down at me. And then from there, when I'm in that deep space, I just let myself go up through the ceiling. I see the top of the house, the chimney, the trees, my neighbors, and I just go up, and from there I just go wherever the hell I want to and bring myself back when I'm ready to. I don't necessarily envision myself come through the ceiling and back into my body, although just as I was explaining that to you, I vividly can see that entire event happening. So, these experiments and little exercises to me are things for you to get your feet wet, to tempt you. There are plenty of books, documentaries, free YouTube videos on all these specific things. There are people who swear by astral projection, and they write books and documentaries, and you can go and learn as much about it, and you may even have experiences that you can turn around and then help me understand it a little better. But what I'd really like you to do, out of all the exercises we've talked about and out of all the things we've spoken about so far in our 16th chapter, where we're midway through season 2, we've got 4 more episodes to this season, then we take a break and we'll come back for season 3. But what I really want you to do, what I really want you to do is really start getting back into the meditative exercises we were talking about in season 1, especially the celestial stream pressure technique. I really want you to start meditating and starting off with the pressing on your eyes, doing the Shima technique, and really pressing, not hurting myself. I'm sitting here having a conversation with you, so I'm not pushing my hands through my eyes, very comfortably, just relaxing. Any way that works for you. There are many ways you can do this, okay? I really just like to get right to it. 2 fingers on my eyes, as I've explained before. And as you're doing this now, I want you to start really bringing your breathing into it. When you're using this and you're still connected while your hands are on your eyes before you let go, while you're still doing this, I really want you to start bringing good heavy breath in and really pushing it out, not to the point of exhaustion, not to the point of pain, but to the point where you need to bring it back in to survive, where you need to breathe. So I want you to really, out of all these things, I want you to practice with the lucidity and the time travel, especially the connecting with your younger self. I want you to try the astral out-of-body experiment little technique I have, because it's a lot of fun and it gets really trippy. And if you want to lay down and just breathe and let yourself go and listen to the delta waves, I'll provide that link below. You can download the 4 megahertz delta wave, put it on with headphones, and just listen to that, and you'll probably end up having like the best night's sleep you ever had, because that's going to put you really deep. And if you can obtain and hold on to your consciousness in there, then you will have some great lucid dreams. I'll provide that below. And the celestial stream technique. Please keep going with that, because that truly is connecting your current consciousness to the higher self and to God and the open universe and all that we come from, which is outside and beyond the universe. So you are not the universe, you are more than the universe. I promise you that. Everyone, until next week, our Meditation Revolution episode, chapter 17. Again, I'm going to ask you to reach out to all those around you with kindness and compassion, and especially reach up to yourself, the higher self, and God, and ask for guidance with gratitude. Until next time, with light and love, kindness and compassion, I'm Jay. I'll see you soon.